I don't want to hear it first.
Do we know how many bedrooms they're supposed to be having? So we can understand the potential occupancy for each house of 18. So we can understand, you said 2 garages, so are we?
3 and 4 bedrooms.
Okay, so that's potentially 2 to 3 vehicles per house depending on the family size. That's a lot of added stress to the community, environmental impact, and roads impact. How are you guys gonna counter that? How are you guys gonna, what are you guys gonna do to offset the negative impact you're having?
We can't get 2 cars up and down Hillshire as it is.
Yeah.
So I don't know how you're gonna put more cars to come up and down.
Without coming in and trying to take people's front yard.
Well, so what's the answer?
And also, I don't have an answer for you, sir.
Are they
It's a
liable?
public
Sure,
road,
yeah,
it's
right.
I believe me, Baltimore County standards
Yeah.
now, so I'm not sure what else we can do.
So, but you're not improving, you're making it worse though, that's the thing. By keeping it as it is, at least it's status quo. But by adding to it, you're gonna be making it worse, so how are you gonna offset the damage that you're actually causing? If you're causing damage, you should be fixing the damage you're causing in some way, shape, or form. You're the engineer, you're the expert. What's the answer?
Sir, I just explained to you that
You don't know the answer.
the road is designed to meet Baltimore County standards that can take this amount of traffic, so there is no improvement that I would think needs to be done for this development.
Where's the safety, in the, you know, if I was a builder, I'm sure you have, you know, in any kind of electronic thing, I've overbuilt it so that it fused and it's not gonna burn up, you know, it clicks off instead of burning wires and all, a safety, you know, so that you've got 18 homes sitting up there. How many people, extra people now, we have a development, we already have the traffic, how many extra people do you believe that we're going, or more people do you think is gonna be up and down our roads? We have kids, there's kids in this area.
Three
You know,
vehicles per?
that right there has been trees since I've lived there, and I've been living there for 30 years. Now, Lawrence Garfield built his home in the middle of that damn thing, and have at it. I don't mind a house going up there, somebody owns that property, but a development like that, that's bullshit. I don't want it in my backyard.
Can I just say, and I appreciate Robert, you know, Robert means well, I've known Robert for a long time, I work with him, he's a hard-working, and he's a good guy, and he's worked hard to have his home.
Thank you, John.
But I think the biggest concern is this, I see where the development is at. Everything is downhill from there. If you see by business, a church, a cemetery, homes, all around that area. Across the street, you have other businesses that are there. And you're directly on top of the hill where it's going down both ways. And the thing is that you're gonna have major concern, even if you put a French drain there, and made it go a central location to an area, it still has opportunity for flood. And did you ever try to do a task force or anything like that, or do a study to show the concerns that they have for maybe all the traffic? Because they usually do that most of the time, do a traffic study to make sure that that's a very big concern for community. And you know, just knowing those things and knowing these concerns, things should be on hold right now for the community's sake and for those that have been living there 20, 30 years. And maybe do those studies and make sure you're ahead of the curve instead of behind. So thank you very much.
Thank you, John.
If I may, my name's Brian Weir. You know me, I'm running for county council. Here's an 18-house development in Edgemere that was just built. Everybody's house at the bottom is underwater. County has refused to go down and do anything with it. County put the drains in the wrong area. Okay, something else, and we discussed this last week, all of us that work at Sparrows Point. There's gonna be 307 homes going at Sparrows Point. There's gonna be another however many 100 homes going to Bower Farms. Our schools are at 120% capacity right now. Our police cannot police our areas. We're averaging 2 shootings and a stabbing a night in our community. That is gonna run downhill, folks. Here's pictures if you wanna see them. I'm trying to help these people because it has fallen on deaf ears of our current elected official.
Is that accurate? Because just because you can't get your way, we shouldn't be able to develop anything? Is that what you're saying?
No.
Yeah, that's exactly what you're saying.
Absolutely
Is
no.
because
The
somebody made
county
a
needs to
development
go back
and the county
and
facility
fix
couldn't
these
hold
drains.
it. Now
And all the water is
it's
taking
somebody
your
else's
stuff
problem.
out. The water is taken, but the
We're not,
county needs to go
we're
back.
not
and
here
fix these
opposing
drains.
the development. Let's not change the topic.
think most of the people who live there say they are. It's not a matter of opposing.
But they don't own the property.
What we need to do is find out, what is the county gonna do about, we're gonna add, and 18 homes doesn't sound like a lot. At 1.5 children per home, we're gonna have about 30 or 35 more children to go to schools that are already at 101% capacity. That's a classroom that we don't have. We just added 5 new trailers to Dundalk High. We just added a trailer to Grange Elementary. All of our new schools are out of capacity. We're over it right now. They want to bus our children to the west side as their new development if you went to the meeting 3 weeks ago. Okay? I'm not saying that it's not gonna happen. We know Sparrows Point's gonna happen. All I'm saying is, the stormwater management has got to be looked into, and the proper thing. The water is gonna go downhill like the senator said. It's gonna flood the houses
That's a
down the hill.
nationwide problem. I mean, it's 20 years old.
We're asking, what are the solutions? There's a drain in this picture the county put in the wrong place. Needs to make sure it goes in the right place. We talk about a traffic study. Senator mentioned that. Traffic study was not done to the development next to Giant that just went up. There's one way in and one way out. That's it, unless they go in front of Giant, down the German Hill, and back the traffic all up again.
Where's their stormwater management? I didn't see any over that new place you built for Giant.
Right, well, that's all I'm saying. Here's the thing, our police are too short, our schools are too short. We keep developing, and we have 10–15% of the homes in our existing communities that are empty.
So how do we stop it? How can we
It's not
stop
letting
it?
anybody else
Right now,
in Dundalk.
this
That's
is gonna-
easy. Close the door.
This is gonna happen, it's gonna happen, folks, this is gonna happen, you can't stop it, it's gonna happen. It's already been written for, it's gonna happen.
Then
But
why
they
are we
need,
talking about it?
they
It's
need
gonna happen.
to look
It's a-
into what will make it
I'm not on their
better.
side by any means, but it is a concept plan.
Support it.
So we get to put our input in, then they'll go back and reevaluate it. They'll come up with what they believe to be a permanent plan, and then we can have a rebuttal about that if we want. This is just a concept. Let's make sure our concerns get addressed during the concept plan, so that when the plan comes out, they're on. Let's not get too sidetracked with other developments that have nothing to do with it, because all it's gonna do is cloud the
I know, I beg your pardon with you, sir, it does have to do with this. It has to do with that this wasn't done proper, we need to make sure this is done proper. This is a 90-year-old people had to be rescued from their homes last week. Fire department
In
had to
record,
rescue
in
them.
record rainfalls,
Okay, right, and we're
Right.
never gonna see them ever again, we're never gonna see rain again,
you know.
okay?
We
We're
can't
never
tell
gonna see
everybody.
rain. It's gonna be there. You gotta make sure the plans are in place.
Based on what you're talking about, with the water from that development with the Hillshire and Ridgeshire, based on what he's talking about, with the pipes and everything, what would you do?
Well, let me explain. Baltimore County, as I started to say before, has very sophisticated stormwater management regulations. State of Maryland. Would you like me to finish and answer your question, sir?
Yeah.
I can't answer your questions if you guys are talking, I'm sorry. Okay, I'd love to answer your question. Okay, I'm trying to be professional. Okay.
That you have pumps that are gonna pump it in there.
There are regulations and there are many steps of review that professionals at Baltimore County make us go through to make sure that the plans meet all the regulations. Before we can build any of it, we have to get a permit, make sure that we meet all those regulations. We have to pay securities, put the money up to make sure that the facilities are built properly, inspected before the developer gets the money back. There are many safeguards in place to make sure stormwater works.
And it's been noted that we're asking you guys to review that,
Absolutely.
and that we want some study done to make sure that we don't overburden the systems we already have.
And to make sure that we don't run into the same situation that the development in Edgemere just ran into, will you?
Absolutely, I don't know the situations.
So they have the same
specific to that.
standards that you're talking about, the same strict standards that Baltimore County has, would have been applied there, and it failed. So what we're saying is, what are you gonna do to stop that from happening again?
I'm sorry, I just don't know the details of that issue. I haven't had one fail. I'm not sure what caused that one.
Can we get someone here?
This is scary, you know, I lived there for 30 some years. It's scary.
So many questions you don't know.
I just answered your
Got her
question.
hand up, let her ask.
So I do have a couple questions. And the first one is, have they done a, environmental impact study? And has the land been perk tested? That's my first. My second one is, the other studies, have they done the educational impact study? Have you done the traffic study? And if so, what are the comments from the county? My other one is, why does it have to be 18 houses? Why can't it be less?
let me answer that kind of in reverse.
And I don't live in that Hillshire area.
The density by zoning regulations would actually permit the developer to build 24.
Right.
We're
And I
building
understand that.
18, so he's already conceded
So why can't you
6.
concede a couple?
Thank you so much.
And,
So I'd love to answer your other questions. There's a
And
school
then-
impact analysis that has to be done. to
Okay,
go
so it
through
has been done.
planning standards. It has been done, and it has been reviewed by the county.
Uh-huh.
We are found to be under the capacity requirements that the state of Maryland has for your schools.
Yeah,
And,
right.
and then how many of those houses are going to be, affordable housing?
I don't know the answer to that, I have to ask the developer.
The guy in the back in the blue, he needs a question. You've been asking questions, let him answer.
My name is Dave Rader, and I'm also running for county council, a couple of the gentlemen here. And I know that the development, it looks like it meets standards, but I think that's been part of the problem, is that all these developments are going on, that they meet the standards, they meet the regulations. We need a better standard, we need a higher standard, and we need better regulations for this.
Has anything been done as far as an environmental impact study on how any kind of drainage from the stormwater will affect Red Cheese Creek? Because it's a historic creek, number one, it was during War 1812. And has anything been done as far as how that's gonna affect that whole creek? It starts at Germinal Road, it goes all the way to Bear Boulevard. And it creates a mess.
That will all be handled through the stormwater management design. Remember, we're still a concept. We're early on. We're not doing full engineering because we want to hear your comments. We want to get the county's comments, take all that information and come back with a more refined plan. That's when you'll find more design, more downstream design, those types of things.
As part of this concept plan, is it required that they come up with a community benefit? Is this development of 18 homes, if that's what they're going for, is that meet the requirement of a community benefit that has to be done as part of the development?
For this type of development, a community benefit is not required. That
Not,
would be for a planned
what is the
unit.
number that's required?
Planned unit developments require community benefit.
Okay, so what's the difference?
This is a by right plan. This is meeting the code regulations by right. A planned unit development is for something that's not by right, and you're doing something above and beyond what the zoning regulations
What's allowed?
require. And therefore, you typically have to do a community benefit to offset
Right.
what you're trying to get extra from the community. We're not asking.
Here, they're actually lower than the required, right?
That's correct.
What about
That's why
free
it's
space?
not 24.
What about free space? What about what green space?
We are not proposing any local open space on this.
But isn't that a
property.
regulation?
It is a requirement that we provide 1,000 square feet per lot, or we can ask for a waiver and pay a fee into Baltimore County.
So pretty much you're getting around the.
Well, they did it
Five.
together.
Five trees. Let me just explain and further that just a little bit for you. Baltimore County typically does not want local open space areas for projects that are less than 20 units. They don't want small little pockets that aren't as effective as larger areas. So you collect money from this small development, from that one, pull it together, and the county builds a much larger. bigger
So wouldn't it
park.
be nicer, just out of curiosity, if you were to go buy a house there, there's no playgrounds in the area, there's no community space in our area whatsoever, including Berkshire, and the problem is that there is nowhere for those kids to go. Right now, that space that you're proposing to build on is where our kids dirt bike, it's where our kids hang out and play, they play hide and seek, they look at the environment, the animals that are there, and on top of that, all of the kids, because I live right there, cut through that property to go to Holliburg Middle School. Where is that gonna go now?
And so we're losing community space,
We're
even though we're
losing
not
that.
technically under the code to get some. You're eating up what that little neighborhood has now already.
That's why you want there.
Maybe there ought to be some type of compromise where they give some open space back.
You just said that's why they're doing 18 units, not 24. That way they can get around the fact of having to benefit the community.
So that's not what I said.
No, that's
Let's
pretty much what it
rewind-
is.
Rewind the minutes, that's exactly what you said, sir.
Hey, here we go.
He's recording it, we can just rewind.
So you're praising Montgomery County's sewage system, and 43 million gallons of sewage is backing up into our bay every time it rains. How is this gonna help that?
Cut a window and flush it out.
All right, come on, Tim, just speak up. Speak up,
I'm
Tim.
Tim Baker, I'm also running for county council. I'm gonna go a little bit different direction. Somebody was starting to hit on this. But the Baltimore Sun has verified that any new development through the Mobility Act, that Baltimore City is actually buying these properties through a third party, like a nonprofit, and they're placing Section 8 and other subsidized homes in there. What guarantee do we have that that they're not gonna buy these homes and become Section 8?
I'm not familiar with that program.
The
Please get
developers?
to answer your question.
Yeah, I'm sorry, it wasn't really for you, it's more for the developer, people
Why
represent the
isn't the
developer.
developer here representing himself?
He's right here.
He's the
He's right here, he hasn't spoke up yet.
The answer is, we, again, as Matt indicated, we're at concept phase. We don't even know the house plans we're gonna put there yet. This is all a very preliminary stage of the development. We know the footprint, but we haven't even decided on house plans or anything.
But can you stop third-party companies from the city buying these houses to put Section 8 in there, so we have to pay for them?
I don't know how to answer that question. What do you mean, can we stop? I mean, we are creating lots to sell.
Right, so you don't care if Section 8's coming out here?
They don't care anything, they get money. Exactly.
I don't
It's all
know.
about their green.
At this point, we haven't even got that.
Enjoy some trees that are green.
But you can understand that the people here have a concern of the questions that they're asking and the questions that they're already mad about, because someone has come into this area and said, hey, we're gonna do this. Even if it's a concept, it's still, this is the concept. And that concept is not going over well with the people who live in the area.
Sir, I hear you and I appreciate it.
I know, well, and I think you should understand that.
I
That's what I'm
do,
saying.
I fully understand it, but I guess my counter to that is, this is a piece of private property that my client has purchased. It isn't a public park for use for everybody's children and kids. It's private property. It's in an area that's properly zoned for the use we are seeking to make of it here. The use isn't much different than a
Where
home
you live
you
at?
have.
Where you live at?
That's true, but the thing I
I
think we're
bet you don't
getting
live
at
in
is that
Dundalk.
where we live now.
I lived here for 30 years.
Where we live at now won't be the same
No.
if this project goes ahead. Our whole community will change. Our
Which is one of
community's
the
been
nicer
for
neighborhoods in
50
the area.
years, for 52 years or whatever, has been the same. And now this extension changes the whole community.
Changes your property value.
You can't say it doesn't, it changes
So-
traffic. Impact on it is more about, you're taking away the woods, our buffer area, you're taking away a play area, all the different things that I think have been hit on are our reaction first
Sir, I
to see this.
appreciate it, and we're here to hear your reaction, and we're hearing it. Trust me, we're
What's the
hearing it.
distance?
My father
But
bought
the
that house
answer
in
is,
'63,
yes,
and he is rolling in his grave right now.
I'd like to respond, but if you don't want me to, I won't. But, you know, the answer is, yeah, it will be change, okay? The development is change.
I understand that we can't stop the development, okay? We've been through this. Our community meeting that we had, we understood, we're not gonna stop this development. We will make it very hard for the development to go through. I'm gonna give you that much. We will make every effort to push it and stop it as long as we possibly can.
The gentleman that lives at the end of Hillshire Road right now, he bought his property for one reason. It was cornered by woods. What's he gonna do to his property value?
I have to tell you.
It's gonna go.
Actually, I'm the one that lives on the end of the street, and I do have a personal question, because according to the plans, the people that sold me the property showed me where my property lines were, but your plans show that they was completely off, and that the shed that I have on my property is on your property, and is gonna be removed. And then it's, now I have to hire an attorney to get it surveyed. And as far as one attorney had already suggested to me that I could file for the deed to the property where I've been cutting the grass for the last 20 years. And the people that had the house 30 years before me have been cutting 50 foot of the grass, planting zoysia grass, taking care of the trees, watering the trees, raking the leaves. And the only, that's the only thing that I can do now is hire an attorney. And I don't wanna put out 20, 30,000 to fight somebody for what they're saying that they own, because their surveyors went out there and said, that's where your property line is. And I told the surveyor when he came out there that the stake in the ground was the stake in the ground that St. Michael's Cemetery put to show where their line separated the church property from our property. But they didn't want to have nothing to do with that. And now I'm looking at that plan that just specifically says my shed is to be removed. Nobody knocked on my door and said, buddy, you're a little bit over on my property. For the last 20 years, that shed's been there, but we're gonna have to move it. I got something in the mail that says you're gonna move it. Ain't nobody knocked on my door and said, I think you're a little over our property, or can I compensate you in any way for cutting the grass for the last 50 years and maybe move that house back a little bit further so I don't have to sit on top. According to your plan, you guys are gonna be like 10 foot away from the side of my house with a 2-story, and my next question was gonna be, are they gonna be masonry houses like the whole community is? Can you answer that?
We're not even to the point yet, as I said, we haven't.
I know it's a concept, and that's where
We haven't even
everybody
decided-
keeps saying the concept comes in.
We haven't even decided on house styles yet. I mean, it depends on what the market conditions will be. There's a lot of factors that have to go into it. I mean, that's.
It depends on everything but what the houses are now, is what you're saying, right? Doesn't have anything to do with the houses look like now. It depends on what's good for you guys. That's what you're saying.
Would you say,
Can I understand that?
your houses?
Yeah, our houses, our brick houses, our beautiful neighborhood.
Our house is gonna affect their
So it
property
doesn't affect,
values,
doesn't
is what
matter
you're
what we
saying.
think, it's what you think, it's what you're
Look,
saying.
everybody has an opinion about how your
Yeah, but
property
you don't know
values.
what you're doing as of yet.
I would like to
Right.
respond, but if you don't want me to, I won't. I'm happy.
I know this, everybody's up in the air about this whole concept. And we've hit a couple good points about the storm water, the sewer, and them digging up the road for I don't know how long. I don't know how we're gonna get out of our driveway when they do this.
Not to
But my
mention taking your
biggest,
knickknacks
one of
out
my
of the
biggest
shop.
concerns also is getting fire trucks, ambulances up and down this road, and the traffic coming up and down this road. You can't get 2 cars through these roads. How in the world are you gonna put, how many more 18 houses, how many cars is that? 30 more cars coming down that road. It's gonna be accident time. I mean,
We have our cars
we have-
parked on that road right now because there's not enough space in the driveways. So what you're telling me is that we will no longer be able to park our vehicles on that road because of all the construction traffic coming back and forth.
And also, if it ever gets done, what's gonna happen with the impact, this is for the county, of all this traffic coming up and down that road? How many accidents, how many problems are we gonna have in the neighborhood because of this, because of all this traffic? And even the school buses, and another thing.
The school buses use our dead end to turn around.
Trash trucks, I mean, all of this is a big impact on those roads. And I wonder how the roads are gonna handle all this traffic.
So there is a
They
road
can't
study,
handle traffic
correct?
as it is. No, they didn't do one yet.
No, of course not.
We haven't done one.
No traffic study.
It's a concept.
Can we request one?
Please put that on the record.
Feasibility study?
This is the first plan that we've submitted to the county for review. I mean, this is effectively feasibility. You have to make sure that stormwater works, make sure that traffic works, make sure that the schools work. It's all part of the concept of the process. I call that feasibility.
Can you just make sure the concerns of the people are being heard? And their concerns are these studies, which are really important. Making sure that everything is done in a, not just in a proper manner, done right. Because it's a matter of fact, something like this, we know it's gonna happen.
We don't have
We wanna
those
make sure
problems
that
now.
all the studies, that when you do these studies, and the impact is accurate, okay? That's important, because we know the things that are happening and the infrastructure down, for instance, Trey Bar, many things that they're gonna be doing down there, that they know how important that is for traffic, and the studies that we have. We just wanna make sure that everything that you do is decent in order. And the people need to know every one of these, because they are factors. Again, these people have been living here many years, generations of family have, and they've got every right to know these things. So please, make sure, more than anything, that you have that communication with this community. Because sometimes when you don't have that, you look at, so, thank you.
Well, I basically want to follow up with what you just said, Baltimore County. Mr. Putty mentioned earlier, there's a process. that you all need to go through the county.
Correct.
So say we forgot something to discuss here, or forgot to put on the record tonight. At what point through the county process can we still say, oh, we forgot something, we want it on record that Baltimore County needs to take care of something? I mean, that can still happen through this process? Because you said that, like, there's the community meeting tonight, and then there's a hearing, and I guess the hearing is still a open public hearing, that we can still voice to Baltimore County about something we're not happy with.
Yes.
We forgot about something tonight.
Yes, you could voice your concerns and raise these issues and more at the hearing.
How about the
Could we
15
follow
feet
you directly,
to
Mr.
take
Buddy?
off the back of the house?
I'm sorry, I didn't hear your question.
Can we follow up with you directly? If like we get home later, we realize, hey, I forgot to mention this, but I still wanted to be included in the record, or not the official record, but just,
Wait for the hearing.
okay.
I'd recommend, if you had something that you feel that strongly about, that you want to make sure is on paper or is on record, someone could have, put it in a letter. I've watched, I've created a file separately, specifically for that and other projects for the hearing officer to say, look, these are the issues that other folks have concerns about. And I've even talked to some of the agencies about some of these concerns too that aren't, maybe not captured in the minutes. So you can put it, you can do it in that format. Also, again, come to the hearing. Make sure that.
How do we know about the hearing?
You'll get, everyone here tonight will get notified in the mail of the.
As long as you sign it.
As long as you sign the.
What is the distance from house to house? What is the space in between each house?
20 feet.
Oh my God.
All right, I had a question.
Take this
As
over.
for Baltimore County and for the builder, who is responsible? What is accountable, who holds accountability? Is it Baltimore County or the builder? For example, the SWID system, you're building 18 new units. If that breaks down, who's responsible to fix it for the other community? Is it Baltimore County, is it the builder?
No, it's the community association.
Yeah, but the sewage system.
That's the county.
Who holds the insurance policies? Is it the county or is it the builder? Where's the accountability?
I don't know the answer to that, but we'll take your question and have you get back to you, give you information.
Thank you.
Actually, you Baltimore
I got a quick
County
question.
residents, but who do you pay your water bill?
Baltimore
The
City.
city. So the
City.
city is responsible for the water bill.
What I wanna kinda ask is, considering the year that we've seen with how wet our year has been and the changing dynamics of our environment and the more rain we're getting, would the developers considering building a little bit above the county standards to accommodate maybe future, expansion of, let's say, more rain? We're almost at our full year's worth of rain for our area, and it's just ended in July, so we've got many more months left. So would they consider adding the capacity to handle much more volumes of rain and runoff?
I think there's a possibility you have to work with Baltimore County on that, because they said they have very strict guidelines. Even if we propose something outside their guideline, they may tell us no, we have to work with them to address your concern.
Well, if they have strict guidelines, why didn't they get Edgemere
They
right?
have checklists, they have.
Exactly.
That's a
laws to
question for
follow.
Baltimore
It's not
County.
as easy as you think.
Why did Baltimore County get Edgemere right, if they got strict guidelines?
I don't know.
That's scary, that's scary to me.
That's planned to go behind Bridgeshire.
Here it is right
Road.
here.
Can you discuss how that's gonna impact the people that live on Bridgeshire?
Bridgeshire, that's an existing easement. We're not proposing that, that's already.
Because on the
So you're
plot,
not
it said
going-
that they were gonna dig
you're
that
not
up for a
digging
storm
anything
drain.
up there?
We considered that as an alternative.
Yeah.
That easement was put there when your development was built intentionally for this type of purpose, to allow public utilities in the rear yard. Baltimore County does that for every residential development.
Do
Okay?
you know if that easement is above ground or underground easement?
No, it's an easement for utilities in the ground.
Underground utilities?
Yes.
So they've already given that up?
No, we are not proposing that, and we are proposing.
Yeah, they're gonna dig the street up instead.
The street.
Well, right down the street.
Because we looked at that easement and saw that there were encroachments on it, like people's wells and buildings, and developers kindly not sought to remove those, to put the storm drain in the backyard where the county designed for them to do.
Well, how do you get in and out of your house while they're digging these roads?
Yeah.
Especially since I'm on a dead end.
We had no other way in or out.
Construction
You don't know?
sequencing, no, construction sequencing, you have to work with the contractor, the county.
Let the
So
contractor
I'm sorry, I
explain
can't
how
hear
to
you.
build them.
You'll have to work with the contractor, there will be notices about when the construction's being done.
But now the construction's being done, and I'm coming home from work. How do I get in my house?
That's not their responsibility. That's the responsibility of the builder.
One of the
Yeah,
questions.
explain that.
Shoot Leather Express, they live there.
He's not one
always
to.
put them up in another development, you know?
Right, so one of the questions I had is the stormwater drain being put in prior to the development, like all of the trees being taken out?
It's sequential, it's part of the construction. It has
The
to be
reason
in-
I asked-
It has to be in before you sell the houses, before you get.
No. I wanna know, is that stormwater going to be in prior to them clearing the land?
No.
So what are you gonna do when they rinse all of that down and there's no stormwater and it comes into my yard?
So, Baltimore County also requires erosion sediment control plans for that exact reason.
So where's it gonna go?
It gets kept on site through measures like silt fences, stabilized construction.
Yeah, okay, so
agencies,
you're tearing down all these trees
sediment
and you're
traps.
telling me that all that's gonna stay on that property?
Absolutely.
Okay.
No, it's not gonna stay.
If it doesn't, what happens if it doesn't?
Baltimore County goes out, inspects them out, if it's failing, they will fix it.
That's a really good. Since
If
our,
it's failing so that they could.
Go ahead and speak up, Tim.
since our county councilman's not here, and he doesn't show up at any of these meetings, who did you buy this land from?
Bought it from the old lady that passed away, bought it from her son. She owned it for many, many years, and then she passed away and he sold it to Frank Scarfield.
So, says, and Scarfield donates to Todd Crandall, right?
Absolutely, that's why he's not here.
Just want that on the record. Thank you, guys.
I have a question about the homeowners association
Thank you.
that's gonna be formed up there. What if within 5 years, all of them remove turnover and they're not a homeowners association anymore? And the treatment plant you have there turns into a jungle, just like Boston Courts is now? Because they don't have a homeowners association anymore. It was up to them to pay for it and form it. Can we request that the builders are the persons responsible for maintaining the homeowners association as far as taking care of that mess?
Exactly.
Can we have that recorded, please?
That
Because
is
the
exactly.
homeowners association, the 18 houses there, they may do it 1, 2, 3 years maybe, but 10 years down the road, it's gonna be just like Boston Courts. It's a mosquito pit and a rat hole.
They
That's
can
what's
voluntarily
happening.
disband at any time, so what's the point of putting them in charge if they can
Right.
voluntarily disband? It doesn't save anything, it's not a
It's fake.
safeguard.
It's fake news.
Yeah, it's a
Fake
false
news.
safeguard, and it doesn't solve anything. Putting an HOA in charge when an HOA can just disband because, they don't wanna pay dues, and that's fine. So who is actually gonna be maintaining it, if not an HOA? Who's in charge to actually protect the rest of the community from any runoff or any other issues?
I want to record it that we're requesting that the builder maintain that
Yes.
they take care of it. There.
I'm
Yes.
gonna tell you right now that some of those homes in Boston Courts were sold
They're a mess.
without the owners even knowing that they had to maintain that stormwater management.
Yes.
An HOA is, they're not responsible.
Earlier you mentioned the school studies.
Yes.
Do you have access, can we have access to those? Because these schools feed into these homes will feed into Dundalk High School, which had 2 trailers last year, has 3 more added this year. You told me it didn't affect it, so how will we?
So I don't have a copy here tonight, but I'm sure Mr. Putty, if you
And
contact.
some of the
his
other
office-
studies that everybody's asking for, the environmental studies, the traffic studies, how can we see them? Where are they made available? Because they're not listed on the
Well,
county website.
anything that's been publicly submitted to the county, to my understanding, is public record. You go to Baltimore County, you can request copies of those documents.
We're
Is
formally
there a
requesting
timeline
right now
available?
that, we have our addresses, our email, make it happen.
So one of the things, poor Norwood has already got 4th graders, 3rd and 4th graders going to the middle school, because there's not enough room for elementary school.
Third grade, and my
3rd grade is in
grandson is
school
gonna
with
have to
middle
go to
school.
middle school when he hits 4th grade. How retarded is that?
Especially kids with puberty
I
around 3 to
mean,
3rd.
meanwhile, the middle schoolers just this past year attacked Norwood. Police were called, they come over to beat them up. Now, I'm supposed to let them go there because it's overcrowded, how much more? What are they gonna give them up, send them on their way at 1st grade when you get this going?
Why would people buy into
That's
this
my
community
question
when
to
you're
you.
having this negative impact
The
on
only,
it?
the only response I have to that is the school impact study's been done,
Well, listen, can we hang flyers and let your new development know this? If you plan on sending them to public school, you need to send them to private because it's not gonna happen here in this community.
I'm sure these residents will definitely make sure that the future homebuyers are aware of these negative impacts.
If you go to
Count on it.
bcs.org, you can look up every single school in Northern County, they'll tell you if they're at capacity.
We're over capacity. We've got 26
I have a question for Mr. Putty. Mr. Putty, I have a question. Do the agencies work between each other?
I'm sorry, I can't hear you.
I'm sorry, Mr. Putty. Do the agencies work between each other? Because myself, Will, the senator, everybody that was there, the delegates, we were all at the meeting 2 weeks ago at Dundalk High for the school over capacity. It says we're at 120% capacity in this area, that they want to bus our children out of this area. So doesn't the county itself work in conjunction? And no, they had us all there, they gave us all the numbers. The numbers are on the website, like the young lady back there just stated. It says we are at 120% capacity in this area with 3 new housing developments coming. I realize 18 houses may add 30 children. Okay, but that's 30 more added to the 307 at Sparrows Point, added to all that have to go to the school here, plus Bauer Farms 400. Where we have Halliburton is a joint elementary middle school. Sparrows Point is the last and only middle high school. Okay, they said we are at capacity, folks. We're over. Their plan by 2027 is to bus all the children around the Beltway.
To Woodlawn.
To Woodlawn. They want our children to be bused around the Beltway. That's exactly what we all heard in the same meeting.
Yep.
Am I not right, Delegate Metzger?
Just so everyone's clear, in the next 10 years, we're 1,700 seats over capacity.
Correct.
We're underseated, we have no room.
That's just in high school.
That's just
in high
high
school.
school. Now, folks, 1,700, just want you to hear that. That's important.
Told you something, got 2% of that.
They're building a brand new Dundalk Elementary, they're gonna build a brand new Colgate, and they're gonna build a brand new, Berkshire, okay? And they're already under.
They're under.
Knowing those things and knowing the capacity that we already do have and what we're going to have with this 10-year study, it shows that the facts that we are not doing as we should, as a people, as business, and we are just not minding this. We need to really be ahead of the curve. We really need to do more than just a study. We need to do the job for the people, make sure that we get it right.
Is there anything that the politicians that are here tonight could do to help us stop this?
As a community.
As a community, is there anything that we can do to keep this from happening?
We didn't even know.
I mean, because everybody keeps saying back to schools, but we need to know if the politicians can help us put an end to it.
Let me be bold here. Okay? How many in this room right now are for this project? Let me see your hands. I think that just spoke.
Is that bold
Yeah, but
enough?
that doesn't mean anything.
I've been doing Dundalktv in the community for a little over 6 years now, and it's amazing that things happen. The community gets steamrolled. We don't have enough open space. We have too much traffic going up and down the streets, and our elected officials aren't doing anything for us. I'd like for everybody to remember the North Point Government Center up the street. The only reason that has stopped is because the community, Dundalk United, including Debbie Staggerwald and Buddy Staggerwald, standing up with Bob Stab and Karen Cruz. Our elected officials all said that they were going to stop that, and they were going to fight for the community and our kids. They absolutely did nothing. So please remember, if they try to come to you and tell you they're going to do something for you, you're probably going to get stabbed in the back, just like we did. And the county, you can't trust them at all, because what you're dealing with is the legal mafia.
Yeah.
They do whatever they want to do. They change the law if you're able to stop them. And you're going to have to organize and get together with different community organizations here to put up one hell of a fight. We have way too much development in our community, and we need to stop it, and we need to come together, and we need to work together to make sure that our community stays as good as it is right now. But we also have to turn back the stuff with all the Section 8 and everything. Our community is going right down.
Well, can we get a politician to start this thing then? I mean, you got a lot of politicians here talking, but if you could tell us where to go.
Well, you have
what
to
direction-
remember, that the people are the government, and if you come together, you will be able to have enough voice. With the Dundalk United, we had over 7,000 signatures on the petition, and the reason Governor Hogan has not moved forward with that and tabled what is happening with the North Point Government Center is because of those 7,000 signatures.